All right, this isn't going to be the greatest of shots because I'm starting in out of frame and kind of walking in, but I found my tool to change my bit on my grinder. So I got my grinding disc on now on my grinder. I figure I'm going to go ahead and grind this off. You guys probably aren't going to be able to see it very well. Hopefully you can hear me okay from where I have to have the phone placed to record this. But I'm going to try to smooth this out a little bit, and then what I'll do is I'll bring you over. It's going to get a little loud, but we're going to try to get this blob that we welded on the other day ground a little more flush so that we can more easily put a tire on this wheel, and hopefully we got the hole filled so even when we grind it flat there's no hole anymore, and we'll be able to move on to the next part. So let's go ahead and get grinding. I apologize for the sound. Again, I'm doing this and uploading all this from my phone. You know, if you're a Android user and you know how to edit on an Android to kind of cut out the phone, please leave me a comment on some tools I can look at to kind of edit these directly from the phone. In the meantime, let's go ahead and get grinding on this, and we'll see what it looks like here in just a minute or two. All right, well, let's move this in and take a look. If you see, it's a lot smoother. I'm not seeing any hole. I'm thinking that might be smooth enough to get the tire on around it. Sorry for the angle. And I'm just not seeing any hole. So I think the next step is off camera, I'll try to put the tire on, and we'll see if I get the tire on and if it'll hold air, and we'll go from there. And hopefully we got this hole filled, and we accomplished said mission. I did have to bring my amperage way down. So for me, on my Century little flux core welder, and this might not be for everybody, but I brought my max, or voltage, down to a 3, but I have my wire speed at 8 because it seemed to be really thin. So I wanted to, oops, sorry. It seemed to be really thin and I was burning through really quick when it was much higher setting on the voltage or amperage. I'm not sure which that is. It says V. So I'm assuming that's voltage. But, and the wire feed. Now the big problem obviously when I was welding it is I was doing it at a weird angle. I should have been more straight on, but I wanted you guys to be able to see what I was doing. So, but it looks good. You know, grinding it down, I'm not seeing any hole anymore. I'm not seeing any signs of the hole anymore. So I think we should be okay. And if we get this other front tire on, then we're one step closer to moving it and getting it over by the little workshop garage here. I do have to get this truck running yet still too, because I'd like to move it over so I have a little more access at the garage door to be able to pull the wagon in the winter, so it's not getting snowed in anymore. Plus then I can work in my garage throughout the winter, pulling out the seats, carpeting, all the interior and stuff. After I get like the front clip off and get both fenders off, which I've already started the left fender as you're looking at it, or the right fender, the passenger fender is already pretty much unbolted. So I just got a couple more bolts to get that off, but I don't want to take that off until I've got it closer. But obviously the more weight I could get off of it, the less stress it's going to be under. And the easier it will be to get the body off, but I'm going to have to brace the body still too and weld in some bracing bars and stuff like that. So that all will come, you know, once I land a new gig. Because obviously all I can do right now is just what I have the ability to do right now until I find a new job. So still waiting for that. I am still hopeful about one of the positions. It's just wait and see. So more to come on that too. Hopefully good news. And yeah, you know, like I said, I don't know if I'm going to do it yet today, but I'm going to try to get the tire on here, get the bead set and get it filled with air. And if that all goes successful, then we're done with the front tires. I do have to take the passenger side tire off because it does seem to be losing air. I need to try to figure out where. And if it's something my fault, like around the bead, that maybe I need to just kind of put some bead sealer on or something. But I'll figure that out also off camera. It's set, it's on, and the bead is set. I just think the bead got a little cracked. Sorry. Little motorcycle hot rodder running by here. So anyways, we'll catch you guys next time. As always, if you're struggling with mental health, please speak to somebody. Mental health shouldn't be a struggle. It should be a journey. There's going to be those ups and downs, but you know, I try to, on any platform I can, I try to encourage people to get help. If you're struggling, if you're having mental health issues. I've dealt with mental health all my life, you know, and I haven't really talked about it on this platform, but on my other platform, just before COVID hit, I had my first bout with anxiety and panic and was diagnosed with general anxiety and panic disorder, which is super fun because there's no rhyme or reason why all of a sudden I'll start having real bad anxiety, which can lead to severe panic attacks. I've been seeing therapists for behavioral therapy to learn to identify when it's happening. That's been great. You know, find things that you enjoy too to help. Because when you can focus your mind on something other than what you're dealing with, sometimes it makes it a little bit easier to let that in little by little versus all at once. But that first step is always talking to somebody and seeking help. You know, I mean, I'm happy if you want to shoot me a message on here to be someone to talk to, but I still always recommend professional help. I'm not a professional. I'll always tell you to get professional help, but I do understand too that sometimes talking is that first step. And if you need to talk to me in the comments, reach out. I'm happy to talk. But on that note, I'll let you guys go. Like I said, tires tire's going to go on this rim. Make sure that's holding air. I'll have to fix the other front tire, then we can lower the front end, work on the back tires, and try to get this vehicle moved over. And then maybe I can get this 2500 moved over a little bit as well, so that way I can actually work on both vehicles a little bit easier. But until next time, you guys have a good one, and hopefully I'll have another update real soon with some tires on. All right, talk to everyone later.